We now look at the impact of the sanctions placed on Mali by ECOWAS. And a Global Affairs Analyst, Calvin Dock, joins me from Washington, D.C. Good to see you, Calvin, and many thanks for joining us. Quickly here, Calvin, the situation in Mali has become an international power play with Russia and China blocking UN Draft Council statement and also endorsing the sanctions on Mali while the West is talking tough. So what do you think will happen in the face of this face-off?
Well, I think that as it relates to Russia and China, I think they are probably one of the last countries on the earth when it comes to credibility on strengthening democracy and holding elections. And as you know, as Russia and China do in every other situation that they have inserted themselves around the world, they stand against interference in what they call domestic affairs. So that makes sense. But I think we step back for just a moment. I think the most important part is, how are these sanctions affecting the Malian people? That is the first thing that I want to know. And second, we have to remember, as the self-proclaimed interim president, wants to have a dialogue about the elections timeline, he has to realize that credibility is on the line here, and he doesn't have much of it, at least for Western powers, when he comes out and saying he's not going to respect the original deadline for elections next month, but instead wants almost 5 years. So we've got a credibility problem on his end.
Earlier today we saw firsthand the effect of border closures in that country. What more are we likely to see in the days ahead?
Well, I think that these sanctions are going to have a ripple effect, that they're going to affect certain industries. Some industries won't be affected won't be immediately affected, like the gold mining industry, for example. But I think that once this starts to affect banking, and not the big banks or the corporations, but as this starts to affect the Malian people, they're going to start to feel it. And I think it was really interesting, if you look at the interim government statement calling on Malian citizens to protest the sanctions, I believe this Friday. I think it's ironic that when it suits them, they want the people to express their political will. But I bet if those same people wanted to protest to continue to hold elections at the agreed upon time, I doubt the interim government would be that enthusiastic.
Well, good thing you jumped on that protest, which is to come on Friday. But again, trying to get a sense of the rationale behind what the military junta wants. Does this give a sense that the people are excited and in support of the military regime?
Well, I think, first of all, when I first heard about the statement, I was reading the statement and I saw that they wanted to postpone the elections for almost 5 years. The first thing I looked for was why. And I don't think they've made a good justification. Of course, they say that, there's security concerns, and there are, but they will always be, we can't wait until all of those have been resolved to hold elections. So it didn't really seem as if their agenda was any more than just wanting to hang on to power. Now, what may happen, and this will be accomplishing the exact opposite of what ECOWAS wanted, is if the sanctions start to hit the Malian people, and they see that it's the interim government standing up against ECOWAS and other powers, then in a weird way, the sanctions against the interim government may increase support for the interim government amongst the people, because they're going to be seeing them as fighting to end something that's affecting their lives.
Now let's look at the play of mercenaries there, because the French ambassador has accused Mali's transitional authorities of using already limited public funds to pay foreign mercenaries from Russia. Well, considering that France's exit saw the Russians' entry, what do you think the Malian government should be doing to tackle terror so that there can be peace for elections to hold in the least possible time?
Well, I think it's unfortunate that France, right or wrong on what it's saying on this issue, is just in a really bad place to say that, because there's a lot of colonial baggage and also interference contemporarily that they still have to come clean about. I'll say it like that. But now when it comes to the Russian mercenaries, I think the statements from the Malian government and some from Russian sources, they're being cute about it, and I think that it's pretty clear what the mercenaries are there doing. I think the interim government said they're there to train and that they're not there as a force, but I mean, we can take that with a grain of salt. I do think that it will take cooperation from other countries in the region to really, really fight the security threat and the anti-terrorism efforts. However, with the sanctions, that's going to be really, really hard because that includes border closures.
Well, before I let you go, Calvin, quickly here, if nothing works, do you see ECOWAS putting boots on the ground to see that the military is kicked out of power?
I don't know if that's going to be, I hope it doesn't come to that. And it would be not out of the realm of possibility, but doubtful, because as we're already seeing, not all members of ECOWAS are on board with the sanctions. And we also know that be it ECOWAS or other international organizations are very reluctant to put troops in to handle internal affairs of another country, no matter how much they may speak out about it on the international level. So I think that's unlikely. I think ECOWAS is hoping that this economic pressure will push the interim government to, if they don't respect the original deadlines, to at least not push it out almost 5 years.
Calvin Dack, many thanks for speaking with us.
Thank you.